Hi friends, David here from Above AVL and Learn Christmas Lighting. And today I want to talk all about designing a Christmas light display. So if you're looking at your house and you want to make a Christmas display or you want to add things to your display, what do you choose? Where do you put it? And what's going to give you kind of the best look, the most bang for your buck? Let's talk about it. Here we are in X-Lights, and we've got right now I'm in 3D. I use the 3D model of X-Lights for my show now. Honestly, I'm kind of 3D can be helpful, but it's not necessary for everyone. That's the best way to put it. But in 2D, just wanted to show you the photo of our house so that you could see that. This is actually the street view, as you can probably see from Google Maps. It's a little outdated, like the tree on the left is no longer there. As you can see, it really doesn't look very lively, and it was not. But regardless, say you have a house, this is a pretty typical house, maybe a little bit on the small side. It does have a full basement underneath, but you can't see that here from the road. And talk about how we make a Christmas light display look really good and work for a house. What do we choose to use? How do we place it so that you get the best look possible? So what this tutorial is not, we're not teaching you X-Lights. I'm not showing you step-by-step how to do that. We've got that elsewhere, including the Learn Christmas Lighting Academy, the only step-by-step guide that we know of that you can get all in one place, everything you need to make a great display. Check it out. We've got a link below. But regardless, back to 3D. So when I think about designing a house and I work with students, I work with customers, whomever, there's a few things that you want to cover first. Okay, so the first thing that I think of when I'm designing any Christmas light display is just basically covering all the square footage with stuff, right? Because you have this canvas and you don't have to use your whole yard if it's expansive, for sure. If you don't have to use the whole house if it's really big, right? But for the areas you use, you want to kind of cover everything well because that generally gives you the best look, the most interest, the most visual coolness for your buck. Okay. So I tell most people to start by doing things like roof outlines, window outlines, vertical stripes on your columns, that kind of stuff. That's your number one. And that's the kind of stuff that, it just helps people see the shape of your house. It makes sense. It's pretty easy to do, and it gives you a lot of coverage. Okay. Next, I say define the space that your display's in. So a lot of people, myself included, do some arches at the front. Arches are really twofold awesome because they give you a barrier so that people don't accidentally walk their dogs through your yard. Kids don't try to walk through the yard generally. I mean, there's people that do all kinds of crazy stuff, but in general, it acts as a fence to, just give a visual reminder, hey, you probably shouldn't be walking through this display. And then visually, it also, for somebody who's watching from the street, it creates a start point. And then it gives you a canvas, a space within it, for me, the yard all the way up through the house, through the top of the house that I'm working with. Okay, and it really helps define things visually. So that's going to be my next go-to. After that, I recommend doing wash lights on your shrubs, your bushes, etc. A lot of people use floods. You really should check out our Dominar Pars. You're going to pay a little bit more. Keep in mind with a flood, you're adding in a power supply, controller port, power injection, all that jazz. With a DMX floodlight, you're doing none of that, and they're brighter too. So that's just something to be aware of. And then what you're going to do is put those on trees, and then you've got the rest of your space. So what do you do with the rest of your space? Ultimately, the choice is up to you. But the kind of things that look best are going to be kind of twofold, and I broke some of the rules here, and that's okay. So the first thing I like to do is just kind of fill up the space really well, space things out evenly, get yourself some really good coverage across your whole display. And we'll definitely stick in some pictures, some video from last year with it throughout this video so you can see what it looks like. When you're placing props, kind of generic props, trees, snowflakes, maybe you're doing what's called like a pixel forest or piece stakes out there. What you want to do is you want to place things generally in 4s or 8s. That's always a good idea because music, typically, most songs are in 4/4. There's 4 beats per measure, not every song, but most. And so that can work really well with sequencing. For big things like mega trees, I like to, as I've done here, give them blank behind them because they're so big and so bright and such a center of focus, anything behind them is going to get really lost. Patterns. Like I've got these mini trees here, Boscoyo mini trees here. in patterns, just kind of in this zigzaggy diamond-like pattern, patterns always look really good. Okay. And you want to think about, as we're here, what the viewpoint is from the audience's perspective. So in my case, just looking in the 3D view, somebody's usually about up here because the road, there's a little bit, it goes down just a little bit to the yard and people are up in a car. So the arches are lower than the trees. Right. And people can see there's some angle down, but people can see over the trees to see the bushes. And people, can see. I don't really put anything low behind the bushes because you can't see there. Right. And so that's another really key step as well. You definitely want to make sure you have some sort of tune to sign. Okay, something to tell people where to tune into the radio, how to listen to your music. That can be a actual like P5 or P10 panel like I have, and we have a video on that here when we built that with your Pixel store. Thanks to them for that. Or sometimes people just buy these little ones off Amazon that you can program through like an app, and it'll just scroll your message the entire time. Tune to radio station, boom. That's simple and don't have to deal with any programming. You just set it up and it just runs nonstop. That can be a great option as well, but you definitely want to have one of those. Moving heads, they're awesome. We absolutely love them here at Learn Christmas Lighting and Above AVL. And, they look best with stuff that's dark behind them. But, if you're like me this year, I just ran out of time, needing to rebuild my roof mounts. It didn't happen. And they look great on the ground. They do. So you can always put moving lights there. But other than that, it really helps in a display to have a variety of different types of props. So you'll have things with denser pixels that are like matrices that can play more defined patterns. Things like my arches or my mini trees are a little more spread out. They play more abstract patterns. And so they give a different look, they give a different feel to the viewer and keep things fresh and interesting. As we mentioned before, patterns, 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 making things symmetrical, giving things patterns always looks really good. That's always a big win in my book as well. And so with that, I hope you guys really appreciate these tips for how to design your first Christmas light display. We go a lot deeper inside of the Learn Christmas Light Academy on stuff like this. And remember, when you need stuff for your show, your greatest, your favorite, the number one best in-stock place to get it is Above AVL. That's us. We love to keep pixels and extensions and other accessories, moving heads in stock so that's always ready for you to purchase and you get our best price every day. We never do sales. So check that out at aboveavl.com and we'll see you guys in the next video. Thanks.